Hello, this is of course Dr. Jimmy, and now I begin my first video in my Horror Nights history of Halloween Horror Nights 21. Well, before we get on with it, because there are some people out there, I'm looking at you, Neil, who seem to think there's something about my t-shirts that are significant. I don't know why. I will show you what the significant t-shirt is. Also come out of the dark there, lurking at the shadows. I'm today wearing the Sons of Gallifrey. It's a parody of the Sons of Anarchy with Doctor Who. Yes, lots of fun. Alrighty then. So let's proceed. And this is a bit of interest, kind of neat to know. It took me more than 2 years to get through Halloween Horror Nights 19 and 20 videos. I got through Halloween Horror Nights 20 in just a little over a week and 14 videos. Well, almost. Because there's one more thing about the event, a couple of little things about Halloween Horror Nights 20 that I wanted to go back over with you that I didn't really touch on. And I should have mentioned. And it's, oh no, he's going back to 20. It's only a couple of things. It'll be done very quickly, I promise. First is Central Park. Central Park. Now, there were no scare zones in Central Park in 2010. But, as you know, back in 2008, and that lovely schoolhouse scare zone, which extended down through Central Park, and the little trick-or-treaters are running amok in the woods, especially Bunny Girl. I always liked Bunny Girl, but it was all lit up gloriously with jack-o'-lanterns in the trees. All these glowing pumpkins in the trees just made the whole thing quite atmospheric and really Halloweeny. Well, the following year, 2009, there was no scare zone there. But when you travelled back and forth between the Horror Nights Die-In and the Cirque du Freak, going down the path of Central Park, again you had all those lovely pumpkins in the trees, creating that atmospheric corridor through the woods, so to speak. Well, in 2010, they continued the tradition of the pumpkins in Central Park. In fact, that was the last time they had the pumpkins in Central Park for many years. Until last year, in fact. But it was not, again, officially part of the scare zone. So let's say you're at Fear Revealed, and you decide you want to go see one of the 3 houses that are in the back of the park. Some of the better houses that year anyway. The Hallowed Pass, the Catacombs, and Havoc Dogs of War. So you're going to go that direction. You go down that path going through Central Park. Once again, all the trees are done up lovingly with pumpkins. No scare actors, but all the lovely pumpkins, the jack-o'-lanterns in the tree. But that year there was some additional extra pumpkins added in. There was a pumpkin featuring the happy face of Jack the Clown. There was a pumpkin of Albert Kane with his stopwatch, the caretaker. Your time has come. One of the director with his little camera. One of Elsa, the storyteller, and yes, an usher pumpkin as well. That's the guy with the flashlight who goes, tickets please, not the one that's Justin Bieber's boyfriend. But anyway, all these pumpkins in the trees, and there was an extra one that had the double X for 20 years of year. So those were special 20th anniversary pumpkins that were in the trees that year in 2010. They later sold most of these off at an auction. And they did not appear again until, I think that was it really, and they had to make new ones if they wanted to do the same sort of thing again. And there was another pumpkin that's actually, I think, had been there since 2008, whenever they did that, and that was a pumpkin with a kitty face. Had little whiskers, and a little kitty nose, and little kitty eyes. Lovely little kitty pumpkin. I used to call it the Bob pumpkin in honor of Bob the cat, who, if I'm not mistaken, is right over there. There she is. Hello, Bob. Hello, you silly cat. She's up on top of Castle Bob. Yes, lovely kitty. So put that back here. So yes. So that's the that was the thing in Central Park in 2010. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. What was the other thing I wanted to touch on before I move on to 21? Merchandising. I'm not going to dig out the t-shirts, I've got them. I'm going to bring out the brochure where you can see what the merchandise looked like. And get a good idea. The merchandise for Halloween Horror Nights 20. It shows 2 t-shirts, a couple of different pins. They had the Icon shirt, which had 20 Years of Fear and a picture of Fear, although not, you didn't really get a really good idea what Fear was like till you got to Fear Revealed, like I said before, but they had that t-shirt, and you had, of course, the New Age of Darkness t-shirt, which had all the houses on the back, a lovely house shirt that year. Both of those had the lettering in the front that was made of that plasticky stuff that sticks out, except it wasn't blood letters this time. It was glow-in-the-dark letters. That was a new twist. Ooh, new twist, glow-in-the-dark letters. Kind of better that way. There was a third t-shirt, wasn't in the brochure, a Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure shirt. They had one in 2009, they had another one in 2010. That one was Most Bodacious Dudes on the front of it. Special shirt for Halloween Horror Nights for Bill and Ted. And of course all the other bits and pieces, the shot glasses, 2 pins, one with Fear and one with a lantern. The lantern one lit up, ooh, clever. All that neat stuff. So they had all that lovely stuff for merchandise. Must mention the merchandising. That's the power of the Schwartz, after all. Oh, that's, I'm sorry, Ron Park. So now let's move on to Halloween Horror Nights 21. 20 Years of Fear. So, no. 20, no, I'm sorry, not 20 Years of Fear. Halloween Horror Nights 21 didn't really have a catchphrase. They used several different ones. Your Luck Has Run Out was one, very popular. Are You In is another one. Your Fate Is In Her Hands is a third. And The House Always Wins. I'm going to be using Your Luck Has Run Out for the purposes of these videos for various reasons. It seems to make most sense. Halloween Horror Nights 21. Now, as I had said before, way back in 2010, they had this whole New Age of Darkness, and they were going to continue that in 21. They were going to continue that and continue the philosophy that TJ Manarino had mentioned, the VIP Lounge, that we're not going to do the movies over here. We're going to make this all original. I'm going to go for a new era of darkness, new icons, new characters, the new franchises that will take over from the old ones. It's all going to be new and exciting and different. And mostly it was new, except for one house. One house was an intellectual property house. What they said they weren't going to do anymore, they did. They had a house based on a movie. And that, of course, was because of some changes that were happening behind the scenes. The biggest change, of course, was that the whole company, Universal Studios, the parks, the theme parks, but also the movies, the Universal Pictures, and its affiliated studios such as Focus Films, you know, it's the labels that are owned by it for movies, and then of course the recording companies, MCA, and of course we have NBC television networks and all the different television networks that are part of that, like Bravo, for example. All of this was bought, lock, stock, and kitty cats by Comcast in 2011. And although not too many big changes happened in 2011 yet, they began to take more and more once they bought it to start making those changes, of course, because they start getting interested and involved, and things start to happen and things start to change. And one of the changes is, yes, you will be doing a house based on a movie that in 2011. It's going to be a Universal picture, and you're going to be doing that cross-corporate synergy thing where you have the house out the same time the film's out, so that it causes, you know, cross-corporate interest. The house helps to advertise the film helps to advertise the house, and everybody makes money. That's the theory, at least. So that happened. Now, I know some people who say to me that Halloween Horror Nights 21 was a terrible year. There's one person in particular, actually, and I think he's biased. I think he's biased because he worked the event in 2010. He worked the event in 2010. He was a scare actor in 2010. In 2011, he was hired, and he was in the reserve fire crew, whatever you want to call it, the back call-up. If there's somebody who's, you know, calls in sick, or someone takes a vacation day, or someone takes a day off, whatever it is, they fill in. You know, they always lose a certain number of scare actors as you go on for various reasons. People drop out, people move in, they need to bring in more for whatever reason, they need to fill in gaps, and so they have these people on standby, and a lot of those people were used in 2011, but this guy was never used. They didn't work him a single night. Now, I'm not saying why. I find that whole story a bit, I'm not going to say he's lying or he's leaving out information or anything like that, because that would be wrong, but just based on my own knowledge of how this all works, that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Why they would never use him, not even one night. And it doesn't quite add up unless there's a reason for that. Not saying, but it makes me wonder. Anyway, he never worked that event. Also, he was really sure the icon was going to be something that was nothing like Lady Luck. Even when Lady Luck was known to be the icon because of various leaks, he still denied it all the way up to the reveal, and even after the reveal tried to pretend another icon was going to show up before the thing was over. He was just didn't like the idea. He didn't want to be wrong. He refused to be wrong even when he was proven wrong again and again and again. That was a major problem for him. I'm not saying it's all personal, but the fact that it's ironic to me that the event he worked is the greatest event they ever had, practically, to hear him talk. Just awesome, wonderful event. And the whole thing went downhill from the moment he was no longer working the event. That's sort of the way, you know, I think there's no coincidence there. You know, once I'm not there, it's no longer any good. Basically seemed to be the way it's going. He only went one night during the employee preview. Never went back again. Ever. Hasn't gone to any, never went to 2012, 13, 14, 15. Isn't going to go to 16. As far as I know, he may never return to Halloween Horror Nights ever again in the future, although he continues talking about it. Again, if you're not planning to ever return to the event, why are you so obsessed with it? That just seems odd to me. I don't understand this person in many ways. You like him in some ways, but in other ways it's like, I just don't get it. So, but I can't agree with him. I cannot agree that everything went downhill in 2011. I cannot agree with him, because I'm sorry. If you look at the houses of 2010 collectively, look at those houses, the 8 houses there. What did they have? They had Legendary Truth, Hades, and give me a minute. Cycle, Scarab, Shady Brook, Echoes of, yes. Zombie-Geddon, The Orphanage, Hallowed Past, Catacombs, and Havoc, Dogs of War. Okay? I'm sorry, that wasn't the greatest lineup of houses of all time. Catacombs and Dogs of War are nifty little houses, but they were little houses. They were rather minimal. Havoc was all cast, really. You could have put the cast with no sets at all. It would still be awesome because they rock, the cast rock. But the house itself, you know, very minimal. You've got Hallowed Past, it's rerun house. And some of the scenes in that were from except for Fritanic, most of those were houses that were only a couple years before, 2008 primarily. Then you get to, you know, the Orphanage. That was kind of neat. That was, you know, the 3 best houses: Orphanage, Catacombs, and Havoc. Then you got Zombie-Geddon, which is all zombies again, which was already getting old even then. Back in, and Legendary Truth and Hades and Shady Brook all seem very flawed to me, especially Legendary Truth. They all had potential that just didn't quite meet. There were things missing, and I've talked about that in the previous 14 videos. So you take those collectively, they're not bad, but, you know, in 2011, it seemed to me they upped their ante. They not the one that's married to your uncle. I'm not being rude to that person. No, not up your ante. But sorry about that. Apologise to both your auntie and your uncle and all your little cousins. But no, they upped their ante tremendously. They had the one house that was, the thing that was an IP, and that wasn't bad. That was the least of the houses, in my opinion. But then the other ones, the other houses they had that year, Nightingales and Winter's Night, and then there was Blood and Guts and Into the Machine, Souls and Steam, right? They had The Forsaken and Nevermore and The In-Between. Those 8 houses collectively were the strongest lineup of houses they had had in years. I mean, those were amazing. Altogether, I would say the strongest lineup of houses. I think it was no accident they had a tie in House of the Year that year, which is something that doesn't happen very often, to get a tie in House of the Year. All 8 houses that year were very strong. The least of them was The Thing, but the others, they really upped their ante. They were all original houses. We haven't had 7 original houses ever since, okay? This was the last year where most of the event was original houses. And they were awesome. They had great backstories, really detailed set pieces, just intricate mythology, historical periods, scare actors that were really cool, costumes, special effects. All of it was very well done. I'm not saying these are the best houses ever, and there have been better houses since, but collectively, as a group of houses, these were top-notch. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was the best event since 2008 at the time. Okay? And even 2008, there were some things that I thought that they did better in 2011. And the other thing, the scare zones were awesome. There's some brilliant scare zones that year. And they brought street entertainment back that we hadn't had since we had a parade. That was very well done. To me, I thought that was good. Some people didn't like it, but I did. And another thing about 21, the icon. A lot of people didn't like her. And yes, she was made up by marketing and publicity. It wasn't something A&D created with an intricate backstory. We're not talking Jack the Clown but the director was made up by marketing too. The caretaker was last minute. The storyteller was made up by marketing, so this is not a new thing. It's not like she's not really an icon. No, I don't buy that either. Lady Luck, to my opinion, is one of the best icons they've ever had. I will sit there and fight with you over this. If you're going to say 2010 was better than 2011, I will fight with you over the idea that somehow Fear, the big goon on his stilts, was a better icon than Lady Luck. No, you're wrong. Okay? Lady Luck is a better icon than Fear by a long shot. Always. Sorry, that's just a fact. And now the rest of it's my opinion. Personally, I've got some taste in the matter. I like Lady Luck better than most of the other icons. I thought she was a better icon than the Usher, than the Storyteller, and then Bloody Mary, for that matter, and I thought she was better done than the director or the caretaker even. I like her better than Eddie or Cindy. In fact, she's the best original character since Jack the Clown, in my opinion. Yeah, I put her right up next to Jack as one of my favorite icons at the event. So I really like her. She's a really neat idea. Granted, she doesn't have a mysterious backstory like Jack that's really intricate that goes over generations. Well, there is sort of, but not like that. But I think she's a really neat idea. And even though she came sort of out of marketing, they fleshed it out and they worked it over and they did something with it, like they did with previous icons in years past. So I thought it was a good deal. So I will defend Lady Luck. She's my lady, and besides, I keep winning that shit. So obviously she responds. So I've got to give her good, got to give her good press so that I will keep winning at things. Maybe I'll get the lottery one of these days. Haha. So there we go. Now, Halloween Horror Nights 21, I should point out, was a 25-night event. This was the first time, I believe, we went for 25 nights. and it started on September 23rd, which was not the final Friday of the month. It was not the final Friday of September, but actually the second to last, the penultimate Friday of that year, of that month. So I think that was a first. So it started then and thus ran on September 23rd, 24th, 29th and 30th, and then October 1st, 2nd, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, of course 21, but 22, 23, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and the 31st, Halloween night, which was a Monday that year, was the final night of the event. 25 nights. And I've now hit the 20-minute mark, so we're going to stop and come back for part 2.